Good evening and welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We've had a lot of interesting shows in the last, I've had a lot of interesting shows in the last couple of weeks on Ukraine. Obviously, it's been the number one issue, but also on the trucker convoy and occupation in the city of Ottawa and Windsor, on polls that really talk about whether Canadians supported the convoy and found out that 15% of Canadians actually did support the trucker convoy. And the vast majority of Canadians did not, thought it was an occupation. The vast majority of Canadians have gotten vaccinated, but a strong, minority, call it 15%, which is, 4.5 million people, depending on exactly how you do the calculation in the polls, disagreed with the vaccine mandates and questioned some of the different public health measures that have been taking place and wanted to express their point of view. And I disagreed with what they did in regards to Occupy Downtown Ottawa, but I agreed that they deserved an opportunity to voice their opinions, and I thought they should be listened to. I don't think that it was right to honk all night. I don't think it was right to occupy downtown. I don't think that unlawful action is something that you should support. And I think that Pierre Poilievre and those on the right that have been supportive of the trucker convoy, I think they were wrong. I think that and I've said this on numerous occasions. I've gone to numerous different protests, and it's always been me, and maybe me in a sign, but never me in an 18-wheel truck. And I don't think we have the right. I think we have the right to voice our opinion, but we don't have the right to bring a megaphone, an amplifier, or an 18-wheel truck. And I think that we need to think through what our freedom of speech really is, and it shouldn't include blocking a bridge or blocking downtown Ottawa and taking it over. But that said, 15%, 4.5 million people deserve to be listened to, and we weren't listened to. And in fact, if anything, what some people did is they ostracized them. And, it came back to sort of, not exactly, but the way that Hillary Clinton described some of the people that opposed her and were supporting Trump as the deplorables. And these are not deplorable people. They're people that have got a different point of view, and they should be listened to. And we should try to educate them. And I think that's a mistake that's been made. And then I also have done a bunch of shows on the conservative leadership, and I, because of a friendship that I had, I ended up getting reasonably knowledgeable about and involved in what was going on in that conservative leadership. And I think it's really messed up. I think that the Conservative Party is electing someone that appeals to the right wing of the Conservative Party and not someone that's electable within Canada and appeals to Canadians. And it's because I think our system is broken. And whether it's, the political shows I've done or the shows on the truck convoy I've done, or frankly, some of the shows on the economy I've done, I've really become very disillusioned of late. And if you know me and you've been following me, I've been very involved in politics in all three levels, my whole life, my whole career. And I've enjoyed my political involvement, but I've become very disillusioned. And I interviewed Greg Vesna, the leader of the None of the Above party last week. And, the None of the Above party, a lot of people think is a joke, and they've got zero chance of winning, but actually agreed with a lot of what he had to say. He was arguing for referendums, and I've always been supportive of the idea of going out to the public and finding out what they've actually got to say, and that representative democracy a lot of the time doesn't work because we think we're electing a representative in our local riding, but the reality is they do whatever the whip and the leader tell them to say. And I really think that our system of representative democracy is broken down because of the way that we elect our prime minister and our premiers and the leaders, and in the United States. And even in the United States, you end up having to do what the leadership wants you to do. But that said, you can be a senator or a congressman with a different point of view because the president is elected on a different ballot than the congressperson or the senators are. And because we elect the prime minister by voting for the local representative. When we're voting for the local representative, we're voting really for the leader and the brand. And a lot of people don't even know who the local MP or MPP is. So our local representative situation has broken down. And our nomination process has broken down, where ethnic groups or political groups or ideological groups or special interest groups can take control of a local riding association, and with a couple hundred, if not maybe 1,000 or 2,000 votes, decide who the nomination candidate's going to be. And that's not democracy either. And Greg was saying that it's comparable to Hong Kong, where the Communist Party decides who the people are that could stand for ballot. And I thought that was going too far. But that said, the reality is the leaders and the political structure decide who the party candidates are going to be, and you can't run as an independent and be successful. You can't run as a none of the above party candidate and be successful. And he calls for recall. And the United States has got recall. Lots of countries around the world have got recall, and it works. And it provides an extra level of assurances that our representatives, our leaders, our premiers, our prime ministers, and he would argue even our judges need to be good, need to be mindful of what we want them to do. And he talks about real accountability. And I do think we've had a challenge with accountability, whether it's the SNC-Lavalin crisis or whatever it is. We've had a challenge with accountability in our government, and we've driven up deficits and debt to a unparalleled level. And I'm not sure we really want to. And it's led to, worldwide unbelievable inflation. And you could argue that some of that inflation is because of COVID supply issues. Some of it's because of Ukraine and the invasion by Russia into Ukraine. But a lot of it's also got to be because debts are high. And basic economics tells us when debt and deficits get so high, your inflation rate's going to go up, and interest rates are going to have to therefore go up. And affordability, and I'm convinced that affordability has been an issue caused by government. It is the lack of supply. It is overregulation. It is red tape that has caused the lack of supply, which has caused a affordability crisis in Canada. And government's going to point at foreigners. They're going to point at developers. They're going to point at a whole bunch of other places. But then all they're doing is adding in more regulations with inclusive zoning and parking rules that go back and forth, and development fees that are outrageous. It's supply. The lack of supply, which is zoning, which is red tape, which is official plans. Government, I'm convinced, has been the problem in affordability. And so I've got to tell you that I'm thinking about running in this upcoming election for the None of the Above party, which a lot of people that know me will be shocked with, because they know I've been a lifelong member of a major political party. But I just don't think it's working anymore. I really don't. And I don't want to quote that movie Network, I'm mad as hell and I don't want to take it anymore, but I'm getting not mad as hell, but I'm getting really discouraged and disillusioned and depressed that our democratic system doesn't work as well as it should. And I think that, even if we had a little protest vote, my chance of getting elected is probably low. But if we had a little, maybe even a strong protest vote that said, we do think that our political parties have got to pay more attention to us. And we got to pay attention to the vast center, not these right-wing or left-wing ideologues that take up too much of our time and space in the media, but the vast majority of people that are, I describe myself as a fiscal conservative and a social progressive. I'm very progressive on social issues, but I'm a business guy, I'm a finance guy, I'm an entrepreneur. And I think you've got to, spend what you make and no more. And that's fiscal conservatism. And I think that we've gone way out of whack in that regard. So I just wanted to tell you that I'm frustrated. It's been a tough week, and I'm thinking about making a change. Anyway, that's some of my musings on a dark Easter, Ukrainian Easter, Orthodox Easter Sunday. I'm thinking about the new week, paying my taxes or doing my taxes. Hope you're having fun. Good night, everybody.